My name is Catherine O'Neill.
And I'm Stacey Welton, and this is Fund and Flip.
Welcome to Fund and Flip.
These are great guys who we've known for a while, and we're very excited for you to hear their stories. So without further ado, Rick, Don, tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Hi, I'm Rick, my brother Don. We're Lewis Brothers Real Estate Investments. We're basically private home buyers, and we buy and flip properties. We have properties that we buy and hold and create in our rental profile. We're getting into some infill development projects, and then just kind of continuing to grow our corporation. We've been at it contracting for somewhere around 15 years, and then been doing this solid for about 4 years. About 4 years now.
Yeah.
And we're just on this continuous kind of growth, and as our network grows, we tend to grow even further. So,
yeah. But yeah, our 15 years or so of experience in contracting is really bringing a lot of value to our business and what we do currently with real estate. So that's really helped us a lot.
Yeah.
And you were telling me when we talked outside that you guys both went to the same program for a degree in something.
Yeah, we both went to Humber College, and we both at the same time, and we both went for an architectural technology degree. And that was a 3-year program. And really, we got a lot out of that. It really helped excel our contracting business in order to understand how design and plans really work.
Yeah. It also helps with language as well within an industry. As you guys know, being real estate investors, if you're speaking a different language other than other people in the industry, it's hard to really kind of build relationships and grow. So that was a big play for me as well.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit, you made the decision to move from being a contractor over to being a flipper, renovating houses and selling them. What made you guys decide to do that?
Frustration.
Say more.
After doing so many years of contracting and working with a diverse amount of clients, you start to gain a little bit of how would you say it? Like, you get a bit of a tough skin to kind of being controlled so much, and your vision gets really narrow-minded to just what your clients are looking for. Plus you're on call 24/7, and it's just became this it's a very cut and dry story. Where I was at a project, Don was working on another one, and I was going to quote doing just a bathroom project. And we'd been talking about it for about 6 months prior to this, and we got to do something different. So I just had this kind of blow up moment. My brain just exploded, and I said, "How much do you want to sell the house for?" And she was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "I'll buy your house. I'm not doing your bathroom. I'll just buy your house." So we struck a deal up. I came back to Don. We had no money. We had no contacts. We never flipped the house. So we went out and we sourced private money as a partner, did the renovation in 30 days, and ended up hit the market nicely, made huge margin. And we were just like, wow, that was a lot easier.
We couldn't even start with, okay, we were going to buy the house, but what do we have to do to buy a house? We didn't know how to write a contract. So it was even as bad as that. We had no idea of any.
It was literally I don't even know if we bought ourselves personal houses yet. No, we hadn't.
No.
Yeah, we were still renting places.
But we knew how to do a renovation.
Yes.
So we knew how much the bathroom renovations.
So yeah, we worked probably 12, 14 hours a day for 30 days straight.
Yeah.
Flipped it ourselves. And from then on, we just, we were working with a top designer. We're like, you know what? We're out. We're done. Everyone thought we were insane because
that was the turning point, was the designer. And that's the key word, because when you're working, not all designers, but when you're working with the higher end designers and the higher end homes, because we're working in big homes in Aurora, 20,000 square feet, $350,000 bathrooms, all that sort of stuff, or $1 million basement. When you're working with a designer and they have a client, they take a lot of the power in the design away from the contractor. Mm-hmm. It's you do what's on the drawing, you do what the designer says, no questions asked. So it took a lot of our passion away. We just had to do what was on the drawing, and that's it.
Yeah.
We didn't get in construction just to follow what somebody else wanted to do. Right? So that's really what kind of flipped the switch for us.
So there's a real creative aspect to what you guys do and what you're passionate about, would you say?
We don't just simply go to Home Depot and pick the cheapest product to put in a flip. We have full design boards. We put everything together, full set of plans, everything, and we actually put some thought into it to make it different than everybody else's. And we don't just use the standard cheap products. We do higher end products to offer a premium product.
I can see how this would be beneficial to people who are buying from you, the quality you're putting in, the materials. Can you tell me a little bit about working with the people who are selling to you?
Yeah, I take a lot of that on myself. Like, I'm kind of the front for the sales side. Don does a lot more of the construction and financing the back end. So a lot of them have their own little stories. And the biggest thing we found is, for us, our number one thing when we're buying a house from somebody is we've recognized that we're not just buying a piece of property. We're actually buying something that they've invested their life into. So, and unfortunately, a lot of what we deal with are people that are in financial issue or personal issue. And we take that into account for every single deal that we do.
Houses are in bad shape too.
Well, we had a gentleman who was living in his childhood home. So it was built in the 60s. His parents bought it brand new.
So he was in his early 50s.
And his problem was he didn't know, first off, they still didn't have a house transferred from parents' name into his name. He didn't know how to do it, didn't know how to contact the lawyer.
So his parents died 7 years ago.
That was over 7 years. So we basically took that scenario and we guided him through from that to getting their name put onto the deed, turn that over to I don't know how to find a place to live. He's on a very fixed income, which is just a government income. Disability. So we found a program within, it was in Oshawa, that helped him get into proper housing and then teach him how to budget. And then, because he was getting probably $200,000 in cash off of the house and not just throw that money away. So we got management in for him. So he now has enough to live comfortably and with disability and this capital for the rest of his life. And that's one thing that was very important on that sale, was not to just go, here's a number, thank you, we'll see you later in 6 months. It was probably 3 straight months of us day-to-day working with him to make sure he was safe, he was comfortable, and he got everything that he needed. Now, that's an extreme scenario, but that's a very, very important story to me. I still check in with him to this day to make sure he's doing okay. And that's really super important to us as a company.
Yeah, because even he wasn't the only one on title. He had one sibling or two?
One.
There was one other sibling, and his brother didn't know what to do either.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why we stepped in and tried to help them figure this whole scenario out, because they tried to ask the lawyers and the lawyers wouldn't help them. So they were in this scenario of okay, we have to help this guy figure out how to get everything all lined up for him in order for him to keep moving on with his life.
That probably would surprise people, right? I mean, when I've talked to people and said that I know people who flip houses, they're kind of like, oh, those guys, they're like, love them and leave them, type thing. So it doesn't sound like you guys are like that. Can you talk a little bit more about, I don't know, your philosophy and why do you do things the way you do them?
I think it circles back to what Don was saying, is we do have a passion for what we're doing. And, you're never as good as the last job. You're only as good as the last job that you did, which is really something that's important. I don't want to hear that a house that we flipped, somebody moved into and there's a mold issue or a foundation issue or something along those lines, because I think karma is a big thing. And I think it's good to do good for people. And, we put out a very high quality property, and we expect a high quality price, but then we'll stand behind them. Mm-hmm. If there's anything wrong with it, and they do, we let them know who did the work, give us a call, we pass all warranties on, we make sure everything is warranted that can be warranted. Anytime we can do permits, we pull permits to ensure safety for everybody. I think it's just, it's good to do things that way.
Good business practice.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what we want to follow, because that's part of our core values. We really want to follow through it and create a quality product.
Yeah.
Because what we're trying to do is take a house that's not in very good condition, improve it so that somebody else can move in and enjoy that for 20 years without it falling apart, right? If they're going to be paying a price for it, and also just because we want to do quality work to really live up to our reputation.
I was going to say, it sounds like reputation is important to you guys.
Yeah. And guaranteed for us.
Okay. So you talked a little bit about your business life. Can you tell me a little bit about like your families and how this work fits in with your families?
Trying for the first few years, if that's, I could say. My wife supported me probably for first 3 years of this venture, because we didn't have financial backing to do this. Every penny that we made and every line of credit we could pull, we pulled and we put it all back in. So we made no income for about 3 years. It was just reinvest. And when my wife she said, yeah, no problem. I've got you. Our parents were there 100%. They didn't need to, but they said, we're here for you if you need it. And then, so yeah, it's been the only reason I believe that I am here is because of my family.
And you have one son.
Yeah, he's helping out now too. He's 1.5. And what this has allowed me to do in this business is it's flexible enough that we're not sort of constrained to just working with clients on their schedule. I have a pretty free schedule that I can, like when we were in Phoenix, I was still able to work. I can spend time with my family and go away. I can go to Montreal and I come bring my laptop and it's like I'm in the office. So it's really just wonderful to have that freedom and that time to be able to spend with everybody.
And it's the same thing on my side as my wife has really stepped in and helped, again, because we pretty much went from contracting and went like straight out, stopped that business into house flipping with no income for 3 years.
Yeah.
Because we just reinvested into our company. And both of our wives, they have very good careers. So they were able to really help us both out during the whole time. And they supported everything we did on both sides. So.
And so at this point, is this, are you supporting yourselves with the business that you're doing right now? Is it, how is that going? And I've heard people talk about when they start off, they're doing 1, maybe 2 houses per year, and then sometimes they want to increase. How are you guys doing?
We're on average in about 6 to 8 projects per quarter, roughly. So 2 to 3 a month. Mm-hmm. Looking to expand that, but we're kind of creatures of habit. So yes, we're making good money, but we reinvest it right back into it. We've got an office space. We're building out a team. We're starting to expand our company now. So it's like, had we been 3 years ago doing exactly what we're doing, yes, we'd be wonderful. But we're just like, yeah, let's go bigger. Let's do more stuff. So it's kind of one of those, it's like when if you buy a boat, you're not happy with it the next year because it's too small. So it's kind of that same mentality that we just love. We like the pressure. We love building something. And we're trying to build, something that's going to last forever, and pay us until we retire. So,
we still earn a very good income now, but we do, it buys us a lifestyle that we want. So if we're able to pay ourselves that, but the rest of it, we just put all back into the business, because if we can feed that machine, it could just keep growing.
Yeah.
Well, that is absolutely great. So, Stacy, do you have any questions?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's fabulous. I think lifestyle is a big component of it. Especially you're talking about spending time, being able to spend time with your families. Has it sort of allowed that? It sounded like these 13, 15, 16-hour days you guys are putting in, the hustle, the drive at the beginning. Sounds like the drive is all still there for sure. The lifestyle component, are you guys able to spend more time with your families, and how has that sort of changed since starting this business?
I'd say week by week it changes, but we pretty much, we make the time. Like we want to have that time. So when we need to take that time, we're all free to take that time.
But both of our wives are entrepreneurs as well. So
there you go.
They work long hours.
Yeah. So, and we work with their business. So most of our, a date night out is not like talking about the weather or something like that. The date nights, how's your business going? What are your KPIs? What are you doing here? I'm like helping build what they're doing. So it's, and that's why they work so well, because we all have a very similar mindset. We're all for constantly growing and studying and then challenging ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, you had mentioned that you've got employees or contractors you work with. So it isn't just you anymore. You're kind of making employment and helping people in your community, not just the buyers and the sellers, but also then tradespeople or whatever. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing now? And you were saying you hope to be able to continue to expand. What might that look like in the future?
So we currently have 10 people on staff, including us. And we're always growing that team because we have sales, we have contractors, accounting, we have all that on staff. But we are always expanding our subtrades and contractors that we want to work with, because we can only do so many projects at once. Sometimes we'll hire a general contractor to do one of our flips for us or one of our conversions. But we try and get our team, because our team can maintain our standard a lot better. So we do like having people on staff because it gives us quality control that we're looking for. We have a very high quality control that we're looking for.
I guess that might surprise people to find out that, it's not just you, but you've become like a little bit of an economic engine in Durham. And that, that is great. Can you talk maybe a little bit about, are there any employees or contractors or GCs that you've worked with where you're thinking like, either really glad I hooked up with them, or, you were able to help them in some way, perhaps achieve one of their goals, or, do better than they thought they could?
An example you can think of?
I'm trying to think of one. Employee-wise, we follow a lot of what Ben had taught us with regards to getting KPIs and PI tests and all these different things in order to grow.
And really understand our employees.
Yeah, we set a lot of time aside. We don't just kind of come in and go to the job site and do your thing. We try and do activities together. We also ask them about personal goals and financial goals and things that we can help line them up with, education and everything. Our goal is to have longevity with people that work with us. We extend that to our trades as well, because we're on site with them every day. If they have questions about how to flip a house, how to do this, I just recall our HVAC installer would always sit there and be like, I want to be you guys when I grow up. And I'm like, you're older than me right now, but okay.
That's a very weird feeling. I want to be like.
Then we sat down and talked to them. We're like, well, what is it you want to know? What do you want to learn? And so we just gave them some basic framework of how to do it and what it looks like, how to raise capital, and just experience from kind of going through it. And then I believe he picked up one of his first flips, and he's kind of still picking away. Like, what do you think of this? What do we do here? We're happy to extend any kind of help we can to anybody doing that. So.
And he calls me once in a while, saying, hey, I just got 5 minutes of your time, and I'm more than happy to help these people out. As long as, they're not stupid questions. I'm not going to answer the same thing 3 times. But, they're valid questions, just more for direction and clarity on something.
We've leaned on people when we started
so
that were in our position. And I'm still leaning on people that are 20 years ahead of me. And it really, the network is that important. And I like being a source to help anybody out that has questions. If I can't answer it, I can hopefully help you find some way to answer it. So.
You mentioned a couple of things that people may not be familiar with. KPIs. What's a KPI?
I'm testing you on it.
Key performance index.
Okay.
Indicator index. It all depends which term you use on it. So you want to explain, because the sales is really a big part of that.
Yeah, KPIs can be sort of controlled by data. So time will help you depict what your KPIs can be. And once you first, we're just starting out on certain KPIs. So a lot of it is a bit of guesswork and projection of what you think you can do. And then if you don't hit that number, you review it. So it's all about just looking, keeping that data under control, especially when it comes to marketing and sales. As an example, we want to do about 100 leads every week. But is that sustainable? Is that doable? What does that look like? How many flyers? How many Google ads? How much money does that cost? It's a whole different business on its own that we're trying to grasp at this moment. So we set KPIs on a weekly basis, review them, see where we are, reward them as they come through. And then we have a goal of 8 properties in the first quarter to purchase. We're very close to that. And if we don't meet that, then we set that and we elevate it for the next quarter. So it's just stuff like that for accountability on your day-to-day, and keep people kind of motivated towards some end goal versus get as much as you can and just let me see what happens.
and make them visual, make the team aware of them, right? If you just keep them for yourself, they're not really, can't really measure anything because you're going to be your own accountability partner, right? You have to, we have a board up that shows how many sales we're looking for. And if we keep having to look at it every day and we make everybody aware of it, we can all work as a team to help achieve that end goal. Because that's what it is. It's all working together for the good of everyone.
I used to do some total quality training when I was at work. And so, yeah, very much that same sort of thought about build it in and when it's clear and measured, then everybody can do a better job because they're clear. They know where the direction, we're all rowing in the same direction. And we also know like what the metrics are. It's not an unknown. So yeah, it sounds like you guys are well planned, which again might be a surprise to people if they think you just, willy-nilly buy a property here and there and then renovate in some way. Like, yeah, you've got a plan.
That's exactly what it was. So that's how you kind of start that way no matter what, because you kind of have to in order to survive, to make your way through.
And to figure out some of the
metrics and
the metrics of how stuff works,
exactly.
Right?
So it's small steps, like to start out with everything planned out perfectly with all of your data and KPIs. It's not going to really be worth anything until you've experienced it.
They're all hypothetical. Yeah.
And is that something, what would be if someone asked you sort of like they wanted to get into the game and they were looking for a piece of advice and they were just starting out, what would your advice be to someone like that?
Sweat equity and partner. That's my biggest thing I say to people.
Yeah.
Go and get your hands dirty in some way. I mean, yes, you can be just money partner and stuff like that, but go in and see what's going on, understand where your money's going. So sweat equity can kind of be defined any way you like, and then partner with somebody who's done it. Like you get a wealth of experience as opposed to, having your ego be in charge. But like I did it all by myself. It's like, okay, that's great. What did you learn? Well, I learned 10% of what I could have learned and had a partner with like a working partner who knew all about it, has flipped 10 or 15 homes. You'll get such a wealth of knowledge from that. So those would be my two things.
I would add one other thing to that is really get to know your own PI, so your predictive index. Because if you don't understand how you work, you may not know how to figure some of the stuff out, whereas that may help you solve some of your problems just automatically for you if you understand how to fix those things.
We'll add that predictive index link in the video for anyone that's interested in doing their own predictive index. But that's a great ad for sure. You need to know who you are and what your skills are.
Right? Because that's how I work is I can look at my management stuff and figure, okay, like based on what answers I gave, it shows me how to, for like an employee, we do it for all of them. So it really shows us management skills of how to work with them because everybody's different.
See, I'm unmanageable because I'm a maverick.
You and me both. Right?
It doesn't happen. Don't bother.
Yeah.
So
that's why you guys are perpetual entrepreneurs.
You're unemployable. Excellent. Good.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why we make our own jobs, right?
But I find it really does help. So.
You had mentioned something else earlier. You talked briefly about a mentor. You mentioned Ben. So can you talk about the role of mentors and what that has led you to, or how that's helped? What would you say to somebody who's younger in that respect?
Mentors for me, I've gone through quite a few, are there to push your boundaries and make you accountable for stuff and speed up the process.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I look at them. I've gone from like Tony Robbins to some personal managers or mentors, to working with Ben. And Ben has been one of my favorite experiences because it's actually a one-on-one, whereas a lot of the things are like larger group kind of stuff. So you just kind of get into little groups of people and talk about stuff or work a lot on your own, which means you have to be disciplined to do so. Whereas if you have an accountable person who's going to be your mentor and set you up for that, for me, that's been the biggest success. Having that accountability with them.
So this is Ben Murison, also known as Ben Humble, who you're referring to.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we had one before him as well, and they were good because they really helped figured
our relationship
disconnection out.
Because he's a little brother and we didn't talk when we were kids.
Because there's three of us.
Like
we have one older brother that's older than him. I used to hang out with him more, my older brother, and we didn't get along. But it's because we didn't understand each other.
Yeah. So that was a big thing. If you do have a partner or somebody you're working with, if you can't communicate with them, it's just going to be hell. Like it's not going to work.
No.
So
figure that out.
Can you talk a little bit more about that, how your relationship has evolved and because you're both in school at the same time for architectural technology or whatever. So yeah, you seem kind of similar.
But yet very different.
Don went to class. I didn't. So it's different habits and different ways of learning. For the two of us, Don's more calculated and will read things and study and get to a place where he actually knows about it. Whereas I'm just going to kind of wing it and figure it out and kind of go with the flow of it. And that worked well for us in our contracting business because I was always dealing with clients, design and stuff like that. And Don dealt with process. And that's how we run today as well. It just, our relationship grows by getting pissed off with each other, but then sitting down and working through it and talking about it and then growing from there. And we don't hold on to anything. It's like, I'm pissed off at you or I'm this at you. And we go, okay, great. What do we do? Perfect. And out the door and we're starting over again. Because we have one end goal we want to get to. Yeah. And we're both just striving toward the same thing.
And we've been very, very, very good at separating business and personal. Mm-hmm. And that can be difficult, but I don't think we've been mad at each other for more than an hour. It's usually because somebody's just retarded that day. That's all it is. Usually this one.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
So I called you the Lewis brothers, but your company goes by a different name, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
so
it is?
We have two. We have Lewis Brothers Properties.
Oh, okay.
And then we have Tritium Corp.
And so what's the difference between the two?
So our Lewis Brothers Properties is our marketing company and our acquisition company. And then our Tritium Corp is really where we have our buy and holds, our flips, and our financing.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah. So the reason for it is for us to be able to pick up properties, we felt it's better for people to know who the person is buying versus just a corporation. And we've gotten such good feedback from that because we'll get calls and be like, which one in the picture are you, the right or the left? And then you start a whole story with it. Yeah. It's also a personal level of stuff. And it's a good accountability for us.
Oh, we're not afraid to put our face out there.
Yeah.
I want people to know who I am.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Because I want them to have that good experience, that I'm there to give them a fair value. And I understand we explained to them everything we're going to be doing in the whole process because we're open book with them. Because that's how we get our guarantee and our honesty across to them.
When I had talked with you prior to this, Don, you'd said something like you think about not only the people who are buying from you, but also the people who sell to you kind of as your family. And I thought that was just a really nice way of characterizing it. As you had said, Rick, it's not just a buy it at any cost and move on, but you're really trying to help everybody connected in with what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we have?
And if anyone wants to, I was going to say, if anyone wants to reach out to you guys, how would they do so?
The best way is probably through email or social media. And I'm sure they'll put the links somewhere in that.
They will, but in case somebody's listening to this and can't see the links, just your email?
It'll be tritium.inc@gmail.com or info@lewisbp.com. Either one.
Fabulous.
Any last little bits before we wrap up?
No, I just want to thank you guys so much for having us on. And I'm really proud of you guys for doing this. And I look forward to further conversations. Hopefully you guys had a good time with us and we can do this again sometime.